Hello and welcome to day one of week 2 of split 1 of the 2020 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and I feel like I need a catchphrase.
Like what?
I don't know, but just something interesting that I can introduce myself with
I need
every
a cough
time.
on because I'm about to cough every second of this segment. I don't know why. Before the show had started, I've coughed 0 times.
I can't remember, and that's
As
way
soon
too
as the
long.
show has started, I really need a cough right now.
You're a professional. That's how it goes. If you can think of a catchphrase for me, please submit it to me on Twitter at NickBoy. Send it to asknickboy@gmail.com. I'll read them out. I'll credit you. I'll read anything. I'm a professional. I'm joined by other professionals as well. Of course, I'm joined by Rusty, Skimmy, and Spawn. Gentlemen, how are we?
Good. Okay, you got me last week. We had the conversation. It wasn't even a big deal. It was offhand. We discussed wombats.
Oh, no.
I looked it up. I went to great lengths to find out if I was remotely close, and I found out that there's no consensus on how to say wombats. There's wombat and wombat.
But, is it no consensus because there's experts and you?
Well, no, I was looking up pronunciation videos and
Really?
things like that. Yeah.
Is this a Queensland thing?
I have no idea.
Is it an accent thing? Kind of like how you say like aluminium and aluminum?
Say the animal he just said.
Wombat.
Yeah.
Yeah, wombat.
Yeah, I've never heard wombats.
Wom would
Wombat?
indicate like there's like a U.
Woman.
Is that
Woman.
a thing?
Woman.
Wombat.
Oh, that's true. But even still, English has so many like
saying.
stupid things
Stop
like that though,
moving
right?
for a second.
You got a hair.
You just got a little bit of your jumper in your beard.
Alright, good.
It's gone now.
Beautiful. That's,
There we go.
That's the most facial hair I ever
That's
had in
so
my
common.
life. But there we
That's
go.
the most OPL opening we could have hoped for. I'm excited to be here. One more thing before we move, and the chat will tell us about wombats or whatever.
Sure.
The other thing is, I just want to say, I demand a new ironing board in this building. The ironing board at the moment, the
It's
ironing board
scuffed.
situation, it's terrible.
It is.
It's older than me, for one.
So it's been here since the start of 2015.
It's been here
I can tell you
longer than that game you just
Yes,
saw.
correct.
The mat, the top thing, doesn't work. It's falling off. There's no thickness. There's no cushion for the iron. So you're just ironing up against a metal grate.
I'm trying to put like my arm sleeve into it. It just rips the whole thing up, and then you start just finding like a solid surface and hope that you don't start a fire.
It's no way to live. Did you say put your arm sleeve in it?
You know how like you get all like the different angles.
Oh, like
you
the
put it into
shoulder
the
part.
Yeah, that's
right. I
what I
think you meant like the whole sleeve.
Well, I mean, I
was
could
like,
do
that's
that,
not
but that'd
how-
be a very strange way to iron a shirt.
It would be.
I'm not the best, but I'm a little bit smarter than that.
You can finish that. I'm not the best. Welcome to the OPL for a Friday night. Excited to be here. We're
Friday
excited to
afternoon.
present.
Let's not get too carried away. It's
4 p.m. That's what look, 4 p.m. I assume everyone's at home just having a relax, right?
What else do you do on a 4 p.m. on a Friday night?
That's what I read on
4
Twitter.
p.m. hits and you just
Get home.
immediately tune in on the OPL.
Well, I hope you are, because we've got a bunch of games. Let's take a look at the schedule for this afternoon, this evening. Game number 1, Mammoth versus Legacy. Then Direwolves versus Gravitas. Pentanet, GG versus Avant. And Order versus Chiefs, rounding out the evening.
A couple of interesting games today. I'm looking towards the 4th game, however, Chiefs against Order.
Why would you do that?
Well, mainly because the Armoured Titan against the Armoured Sloth
Ah, is that
Is
what's
a-
interesting you?
is a matchup to look forward to. Yeah, no other reason.
It's
Spawn.
I mean, the fact that he... Actually, who would win that? An armoured sloth. Because they're hard to get to. That's the point.
Are they hard to get to?
Yeah, because they hang in the
They
trees.
fall out of trees all the time.
I mean, I feel like an armored titan is a little, could take care of a tree.
Yeah, you're probably right.
A sloth ain't gonna move.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to give him some credit, but it's like he really cast himself as the.
He's just gonna sit there like,
in
eh.
that scenario. Yeah, I mean, look, that is bound to be a very good game. Loki Cat says, "Taste my bear" should be my catchphrase.
Taste my bear.
Yeah, I was playing
yeah,
Annie in
yeah,
NPL last
I
week.
remember it. Yeah.
I'm Nick Blind, taste my bear. There you go. Nothing. No one can possibly take that out of context on Reddit.
Never.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, game number 4, we agree is
Banger.
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
banger of banger. But game number 1 is the first one we start with. Mammoth versus Legacy. Legacy, looking good. Mammoth, opinions.
On Legacy or Mammoth?
Mammoth.
My mother told me if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Well, this is their opportunity to make sure that you can.
They
say
got a
something
lead.
nice.
They got a lead in one of their games in the OPL last week.
Okay.
That's progress.
How did they generate that?
Well, their opponents threw stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we kind of saw last week, and
Yeah.
I think what is going to continue to see for us to see is that there seems to be a big pack and then there seems to be 2 teams that are full of very inexperienced players. And I think that it's kind of just unfair to take like the first 4 weeks of any kind of litmus test for these players, because they're still getting used to the coordination, the pace of the OPL. And I think that what we want to see out of them is kind of what we were saying about Legacies and the Direwolves last year when they came in with similar rosters, is you just have to be able to take every game as it comes. And if you get a good early game, what you want to see is them to be able to translate it into a mid-game. Now, obviously, they weren't able to do that against Gravitas, which is a little bit disappointing last week, but fresh week for the young lineup. I want to see what they can do against a team that's currently 2-0 and maybe the favourite to win it all.
My understanding, though, of all underdog stories is that the underdog wins.
So, did you, random aside,
Yeah.
did you watch Worlds last year?
Yeah.
All of it.
Most
Because
of
I'm
it.
about to make a really niche thing.
I probably
Did you hear
won't get it.
Jad explain why David was able to beat Goliath?
No, I didn't see that bit.
Remind me that off camera. Pretty much like...
Is this not an on-camera story?
I mean, it is. Like, pretty much the whole thing behind the underdog always wins is like Goliath was probably like this huge guy that like had some form of giganticism, which meant that his eyes were probably bad.
okay.
And like traditional combat was probably hand to hand,
Yeah.
and therefore he would have just out-bruted a lot of people. But as soon as you bring a ranged weapon into it, it probably was an uneven fight because he wouldn't have been able to run for prolonged distances. So David, if anything, was the favourite in that, just through mode of weaponry.
Right, okay.
And so what I'm trying to
So
say,
you're saying we should give Mammoth weapons?
or a really good
They're
pick
big
band.
enough for them.
Like
They're big enough.
The way I was going to take it is they need like their best pick band. Like the way when you have unique players on your lineup, you need to be able to generate some form of advantage before your team, before you even get on Summoner's Rift. And Legacy showed that they're a very standard drafting team last week. They're not like a Chiefs at the moment, who I think are like the most dynamic drafting team from what we've seen. So I think that if Mammoth are able to generate some form of advantage in the draft, hopefully it goes into early game, and then maybe they can cause an upset.
Which is like last year when you think to how AV played when I was coaching them, of course, like they had those advantages through unique picks in draft because you had to ban some of them, like Zillion for Shock.
It's how
you know?
Legacy played as well, right? I mean, when you have a look at what Legacy were doing last year, they were playing like Riven Top and stuff like that, and they were able to beat great teams, like maybe the best team in the league, like Order. So it was just, you know, you got to be able to throw these wrenches, Nick, every now and again.
You very much do. All right, well, let's take a look at the
was a wrench.
lineup of David vs. Goliath. Let's start with Mammoth. Who have you brought to the table? I expect it's probably business as usual. Skimmy?
Yeah, Kweku, we saw him flex it on that Poppy, one of those picks that you're deciding about that could actually add a bit of influence into matchups like this. She got Bast in the jungle, lived in mid lane, Styled in bottom, and Nausicaa as their support.
It's funny that you bring up David and Goliath because they are definitely the the Goliaths in stature.
Very
Very
tall.
Davids in the league.
Big boys.
And I think Styled played a good center in one of the games, and Bass played a good Gragas in one of the games,
he
I
had
want to say.
he had a good Elise.
Maybe Elise in one of the
Yeah.
games. So I think like they were parts on this lineup that looked positive. However, Styled did get very lost in the late game.
I think if we had a studio where like the computers were here and the computers were there and they could look at each other, the Mammoth roster would have a massive advantage because they could just stand up and look at you and be like,
Interesting.
I think that is
Physical intimidation, stand
Just-
over man. That's what the OPL's come to.
just
Glass.
staunch boys.
The OPL would just generally would degenerate into hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
I feel like that is
Yeah.
like if I have my way, that's where 2021 is headed. Let's take a look at the Legacy lineup, please. Rust.
That's me. The top laner is going to be Topoon, Babip in the jungle, M&S with a pretty good week one, you'd have to say, coming out of the rookie mid laner. They are in mid lane. Raze and Isles are your bottom lane duo. That is Raze.
So
Katsuri is
Not
that good.
Katsuri.
He's
Not
playing on multiple
Katsuri.
teams. He's smurfing.
it's Rays. Contentious opinion. Topoon, very good.
Yep.
Eminez, overrated. Give me my solo. Where is it? Give me a camera shot. Danny In, I heard you talking shit about my mid laner last week. Harry, being scared of Eminez. I think that there is one very, very dangerous player on that Legacy lineup, and he's situated in the top lane, and Topoon is maybe the most improved player I have seen from a split to split. Last year, he was obviously missing out game time to Fudge, who is now gone over to Cloud9 Academy, is also a very good player. But Topoon had 2 very, very, very good games, in my opinion.
All right, we'll see who comes out on top for this game, which we will get to, and the Max Champ slate right after this short break.
Well, let's kick it off with the Mechas Champion Select, starting it off here with Legacy and Mammoth. As the pre-show discussed, yeah, there's a bit of a battle of the top and the bottom, but it's going to be a game that should still show a bit of variation.
Yeah, and let's talk about how these teams kind of match up, because when you look at the Legacy lineup, they have kind of utility players in Isles and Babip, who can be slightly more teamfight oriented. We've actually seen Legacy lose 2 lanes in the bottom lane so far last week, and Babip very much is a protect your lane style jungler. He's not really get in the face of the enemy jungle, right?
Yep.
And what that means is they're very good in the mid to late game. We've seen Legacy fall behind twice so far in the OPL and have no problems closing teams out. Came back from about a 2,000 gold deficit and a double kill in the bottom lane against the Avant lineup, I believe it was, and then we're able to take care of order after falling down about 7,000 gold, somewhere around there, in the mid game. So what people should be worried about when you look at Legacy is how well they skirmish and scale into a game and how they're able to take over and convert these end game scenarios. They're a very smart team, in my opinion. Then you look at someone like Mammoth, and they're kind of that solo queue pickup style team. So I think that they are going to have to generate such an oppressive lead in the early game if they have any chance to be able to run with this Legacy lineup, who are just so coordinated.
I mean, to add to that point there, Spawn, I mean, we saw Legacy pondering the fault of a Pantheon, and that's a pick that was obviously so strong in the early game. Are we saying then, given that we don't want to have Legacy in a situation where they're having to, steal away Barons to try and get themselves back into a game, are we looking for a composition that is so early game focused? Obviously, Mordekaiser showing so much love and admiration, but the Braum coming out so early here, blind for me, it seems a little bit reactionary. I'm not too sure if I'm a big fan of it coming out this early.
Yeah, so what kind of you have to think about here is that Senna and Aphelios are the 2 best AD carries on the current patch. And both of them are very, they're short to mid-range AD carries, right? And then they're both good scaling powerhouses with weaker early games, and they need to be coupled with maybe Tahm Kench or Braum are the 2 that you can play with it.
Yeah.
Thresh, you can argue, is also okay due to the repositioning of the Lantern. However, by taking away the Braum, you now get rid of a lot of Aphelios' early game safety, which he would need to be able to get through a laning phase. So if we go something like a Misfortune or a Varus here now on the Mammoth lineup for Styled, you say that's a lot of gank and setup potential to try and pick on Raze again in the bottom lane.
You start to wonder though, I mean, from what they've showcased here so far, obviously you've got the engagements, but they aren't the most reliable engagements. It feels a little bit ultimate heavy, so you're thinking, well, if you're sort of revolving around the idea of having a mid-game team fight, you're kind of putting all your chickens into that one nest, right, and saying, oh, we believe we can out-team fight you, which, from what we've seen so far of Legacy, isn't the case. The Jarvan kind of plays into the idea of what Fresh is after, so I think like this Fresh pick here is finding just infinite value.
Yeah, absolutely. I was expecting to see maybe something like an Elise picked up globally at the moment after, watching the LCK and a little bit of North America and Europe as well. Does seem to be top priority. However, you did mention Engage, and I mean, Jarvan just has that in spades, right? So if you're looking at Kweku as well as Nausicaa's picks right now, and you're saying, maybe we don't have the amount of Engage that we maybe want out of the Mordekaiser as well as the Braum. Let's get an easy go button and see whether we're able to start fights in that regard.
You start to wonder also if these are comfort picks and a composition that they're very comfortable with to add to that. So looking to roll the dice and roll with it. Now, Lee Sin and Elise both taken off the board here, so no early game junglers that can obviously put out a lot of skirmishing potential, like you highlighted. Misfortune on the back end there for Legacy to try and dissuade that strong early game laning phase that Mammoth may have. I think right now, if you're Mammoth, you're looking to try and lock in a very strong mid laner. You want to make sure that 2v2 skirmish is in your favor. Try and bully M&S and the Varus. So yeah, highlighting those weaknesses of both compositions so far. Beautiful pick and ban.
Yeah, so this either has to be like a Xayah or an Ashe, maybe. Neither of them sound like really great pickups so far. We've had so many 80 carry bans. You've got 4 80 carry bans on the side of Legacy, and they've been able to get Raze the best 80 carry on the patch. That is such a punishing draft right now for Style. I was wondering if he had something unique, like maybe a mage that he could play down there, but the fact that he has reached for an Ashe against all things like Aatrox is going to be quite difficult as this game progresses.
He's diving deep into that champion pool. Grax would be a beautiful pickup here if they do decide to go for it. Predator making it so incredibly strong for those rotations and those ganks.
And I like Legacy's comps a lot. Legacy
I
comp
do
is
too.
like really not all that ult reliant. They can kind of brawl throughout the mid game.
Yep.
They're good after, 1.5, 2 items, especially on Topoon and Babip right now. Isles and Babip are going to be able to play the perfect utility role.
Yep.
I mean, Gragas and Thresh are just two of the best utility champions of the game, kind of good on any patch, regardless of damage, just because of the amount of, I guess, power in their kits. And Eminez is just going to be able to take something like a LeBlanc right here, which is one of the safest blind picks, and is just a very good LeBlanc player.
I mean, LeBlanc here would be fantastic.
Ooh.
He's going to go for the Silas.
Blind Silas.
That's interesting.
I wonder whether that is going to be a top lane Silas, or whether they're going to try and match it into the Mordekaiser or something like that, because haven't seen all that much Silas on the current patch, and Liv seems to be a little bit confused as well. Oh!
Okay. Very, very bruiser heavy. My biggest concern so far here at Spawn is that Mammoth have AD, AD, and AD. There's little to no magic damage on their composition, and Legacy, as long as this game does go into that mid game where they're favored, should have a few items under their belt and a bit of resistance to make sure that they can sort of flex their mechanical prowess.
Yeah, obviously the Mordekaiser is going to bring like a fair amount of magic damage, but he's kind of single target, and you don't really have to worry about it as long as you're not in that death realm with him. So I think it's an interesting composition coming together from Mammoth. I'm kind of concerned about their range, and if they're ever able to be kited out by Babip and Raze, the peel back right now is quite good from the Legacy lineup. Overall, you're kind of just a little bit biased, right? Because you see the names on the Legacy lineup, you see the experience, the championships that Babip and Raze have been able to win, the fact that Topoon was a part of the Mammoth lineup as well. And then you see that, I would say that they've slightly won this draft, although I'm not a huge fan of the Silas pickup. And then going up against Mammoth, it's very hard to give them any advantage on players. And then you look at their draft and you say, well, it is quite early to mid-game reliant, and they really are going to have to steamroll this game.
They really will. And I think the Silas, for me, whether or not it's a flex pick to sort of showcase what he can do, maybe not give too much away in a match that they feel tipped to take. I mean, we're going to see double death realms potentially, and that should make for an interesting occasion.
Hey, I didn't think about that. What happens if you're in the death realm and then you ult him while you're in the death realm?
You just get lost in quantum physics. It's just, I don't know. For a spectator's point of view, there's going to be a lot of spooky ghosts.
How deep can we go? I want to see an Earth, like, what was it when you could, like, all for one a champion? I just want to see 10 Mordekaisers ult 10 Mordekaisers.
And Fresh is going to like try and lantern you out because he's stuck in the death realm trying to collect more souls. It's going to be crazy, but you know what isn't too crazy? It's Denian. He's here with us, Legacy's coach, ready to rock and roll. How you feeling about today, mate?
I'm feeling pretty good, but on the like Earth talk, the only thing, or all for one talk, all I could think of was when you could play like Tom Kench.
Yeah.
And then everyone could eat everyone in a chain line. It was wild.
That's my kind of gameplay as well. Denian, I want to talk to you about kind of the mood in the camp, because I saw Carbon's interview and I thought it was a really great interview about, how that shows the mental toughness of this team. Can you speak a little bit more to how proud you were as a coach to watch your team bounce back last week?
Well, yeah, I'm very proud of them because it's not something that you always can take for granted. I spent all of last year and hoping for those moments and often having the reverse thrust on me. So it really made me feel nice that, even if the early game doesn't go well, you still have that hope that, hey, these guys are amazing players. They might just win the game anyways.
And I want to talk to you a little bit now about your opponents, because you said, last year you were coaching your team, and it honestly wasn't much unlike, maybe what a Mammoth or a Gravitas are bringing to this year. So what's the danger of playing a team like a Mammoth or a Gravitas when you currently are top of the table?
Okay, well, an example from today is when we're in draft, and Topoon is already, he's making jokes about what champion we're playing. Like we're saying we're gonna pick something. Everyone's agreed this is the thing we're gonna do, and then he's pretending as if he's mishearding it. This sort of stuff. It creeps in little by little, and then you'll have, one mistake or oopsie, but it's fine. We'll still win. It's overconfidence is the hubris that you got to fight.
I suppose to follow up from, obviously congrats on the 2-0 for week one, but going into this one, obviously a lot of expectations. People saying you've been overhyped, people saying that the value isn't necessarily there. You come into this match, obviously, you talk about being a little bit confident, but to really add to that, is there a level of, well, I just want to really flex, not really show too many picks away and just get easy victories on picks, say, like the Silas, for instance?
We like these champions, right? It's not that we want to disrespect anyone. We're playing champions that we're all really good at. A lot of these champions are champions that like maybe other teams would want to take away from us. So while they're there and they're available, let's just play them. You know.
And to add to that, with communication being a factor, I had another chance to speak with M&S about how pick and ban works for them, and sort of you pick what you want me to play and I'll play it. Is there a level, I suppose, with English still being rather limited in his regards? Is there still a level of, well, I really want to pick this? Can we try and find compositions around that?
Yeah, there's a bit of give and take with every player, obviously. If a player doesn't feel like he has confidence in the champion that's being picked for him, he's going to play worse regardless. So one of the important things is to make feel everyone involved feels confident in the champion that they're playing. Like, we're going for the right draft, but they should be happy with their playing as well.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Denning. Good luck for this game, and we'll catch up after.
Thank you.
Anyone saying Legacy is overhyped has not watched League of Legends, I would argue, because Legacy at the moment certainly are the real deal, and I would say still favourites to potentially win this split.
It's always funny, though, because, Twitter is such a vacuum of opinions where you feel like you are the one and only, and you can always see so many different of them on display.
Obviously, I mean, as this is quite a standard early game, we'll have a look at maybe Bass takes a look in the mid lane.
Bass is coming on in. Now, M&S has no mana. He's burning that flash very early on. Liv comes in, but Babette flashes in with the barrel as well. And that disrupts any potential first blood 4 minutes in.
I mean, that's 2 for 1 in terms of flash, so most likely worth it there for the Mammoth lineup. What I was going to say is, you can have critique of Legacy's game, right? You can say, you know what, I wasn't impressed with how they were able to manage the early game, or a team of their caliber shouldn't be falling behind. But at the end of the day, they have 2 wins, and I was kind of saying this. So there's no way you cannot justify having them as a top 2 as far as power rankings go. Kweku, so much damage.
Kweku is just pumping through that damage as Tapoon is forced to back away. He doesn't have any pots to his name right now, so fully reliant on that Doran shield. Will have the teleport if need be, but he is keeping up for the meantime. Although a few CS down, he's going to be able to farm under his tower.
And it's kind of the similar thing with Chiefs, right? I maybe underestimated the Chiefs a little bit last week. I thought they were going to struggle in some of their games, and now they've got the 2-0 record and certainly deserve a lot of respect. So I just think that, some things change, and you kind of got to be able to roll with the punches there. Looking at the current map state, Babip has been way more active than we're used to seeing Babip in the early game. He's gone for 2 visits mid lane, now visiting top side and trying to help Topoon push this one out. Certainly a lot more aggression than we're used to seeing out of Babip in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's really held back on his item build as well. Obviously rushing the boots of the Predator activation. Still sticking on the basic jungle items at tier 0. And has opted for the control ward as well. So he's opting to play around the team, kind of like how you highlighted in the draft, on to accentuate what those guys can do. But we'll see, as a result, Bass find a significant lead.
And I think Bass right now has kind of got run of the map. His top lane has been able to push in. This is going to be another teleport burnt. Kweku doesn't necessarily have to TP back to his lane. Mid lane has had permanent shove apart from this wave where M&S has been able to hit 6, so a little respect given from Lived. And I like this from M&S. It's always your job. If your jungler is farming a little bit slower, as Babip has been in this game because he's trying to shadow his lanes a little bit more heavily, then it's your job if you ever get pushed in your lane to go find the jungler. We just saw Raze and Isles pop their head into the red side jungle, see if they can spot out exactly where Bass is. M&S did the same thing around red buff. And now they kind of know he has to be on an extremity camp. He's on a Wolves or he's on his Krugs because he hasn't been spotted anywhere else, so the lanes can play a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, Bass been quite happy to freely roam, as you mentioned, for the lane priorities, but this has allowed, at least for Legacy's side, to control the bottom half of this map. You can see 2 control wards there already. 1 to cater what M&S can do as a retreat path out. 1 to start off this Drake, and it is going to be an Ocean Drake for that one too. Now, this is quite a safe play for Babip so far, as the bottom lane for Legacy has been constantly pushed on in, finding that value against a very defensive Mammoth bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the fact that they've already walked Topoon down to the play, and they do have push in bottom lane as well as mid lane, means that this should be picked up for free. Now we just get to see whether they want to fight over it in the end.
Norska in trouble right now. He gets flayed, he gets death sentence, he gets chucked upon. Is the teleport coming on in? Looking for Kweku to try and find some value of his own. What can he do in this exchange right now? Norska going to be the first blood, but can we get a turnaround from Mammoth? Yes, we can. It's going to be a 2 for 1 so far. 2 for 2 as Kweku goes absolutely huge with a double kill, and that's the early game pressure we wanted as Lived picks up fresh.
And the thing is that we said Topoon had walked down, but he turned back. He thought that the dragon was going to be secured, but Mammoth still take the fight. They were able to get Kweku into the backline, and now this Renekton is huge. He's about 10 CS up. He's got himself the 2 kills as well. And even though they lose the early dragon, they do manage to win the first team fight of the game.
800 gold to his name as a result. He's going to come back to this lane incredibly strong, and they have done a lane swap as a result. He's in bot lane now, with the bot lane ADC and support combo going to the top now. But Topoon is still not scared. He knows his damage numbers. He's going to pop that World Ender to try and get in here. He's got full Conqueror stacks. He's going to get the double flash, and he gets the kill. 2 kills or not, Topoon says hello.
Well, the thing is, until you spent your gold, you don't have the gold, right? So we'll take another look at this one. This is a really great ultimate steal from M&S. Nail-styled point-blank range, however, Styled doing a really nice job of fighting back here. The fact that he got hit on just the edge of the ability from Babip probably saved this fight, because otherwise it would have been 1 kill for 3 and it would have been a complete disaster. So well played from Babip there. The Legacy, big priority right now on these objectives. Without Kweku being on the map, they know that they have bottom lane push, top lane still going to be pushing in their favor despite a couple of assists going over. So they've been able to grab themselves the Rift Herald now. And we can sing the praises of Mammoth all we want, but at the end of the day, it's completely equal gold. And Legacy have both meaningful objectives on the map.
They do. They do indeed. And now Topoon, well, obviously having capitalized on the non-buying from Renekton, he's come back this time with an Executioner's Blade, so he's going to be able to really bully down some of that self-sustain that Topoon can emit. And we should see a very different situation come forth for that next trade. But we're going to have to look to see exactly where they decide to try and place this Rift Herald. M&S does have the blue buff, so we'll continue to shove lanes in and really give Babip some free roam potential.
And look, I'm fairly confident right now if Kweku fights Topoon with ultimate available that he will win, because he's just probably stronger until about the level 13 mark, and Black Cleaver has come through for Topoon. However, Renekton does fall off a cliff. Getting rid of Spear of Shojin meant that Renekton just no longer scales at all in the game. We'll see if he can win this one.
We'll see how this one breaks out. World Ender isn't available right now, but Dominus is if they needed to do it. Both procking full Conqueror stacks. Topoon getting the better of it so far, landing in multiple different slaps on that ground.
But the thing is Renekton's sustain is higher as Nausicaa in the mid lane.
He is in mid lane right there. Does manage to jump out of harm's way, but the bot lane exchange comes again once more. World Ender is there. Dominus pop too. No summoners, both ultimates gone. Bot lane, it's just a bunch of people punching and punching as we talk about top lane. And Styled may just fall, if not a little bit delayed. Out comes the Moonlight Vigil and the Root. Sweet dreams.
I want to talk about what happened there a little bit, because it might have looked like Raze was disrespecting, but I think he got caught by a little bit of a feature in Philios' kit right now.
Yeah.
Where if his weapons change, he just gets locked out of auto-attacking for 2.5 seconds.
Awkward.
It happens to the best of us, and unfortunately, he wanted to kill him. He just couldn't top him now with Babip.
Babip does have flash if he wants to look to try and jump in here. It may not even be necessary. He picks up the kill. And yeah, brings Topoon back into this one.
And they can drop Rift Herald as well right now. And this game is looking like a complete disaster for Mammoth. They had one good team fight, but right now they're being able to shove in all 3 lanes. They're winning skirmishes everywhere. And this is just Styled not respecting the fact that he supported going on a bit of a mid lane journey. We take a look at it. That's the weapon reload, and he's just stuck there saying, why can I not auto? Okay, I'll just throw my ulti at him anyway.
Gets it done one way or another. The action just does not stop in this bot lane right now. They're coming on down the road from M&S. He's looking for a kill. Lived will delay it for a second with that shield. And the kill is donated across to him.
Yeah, and I mean, Legacy right now are just showing that, you know, on the individual level, and this is what people keep saying, individually these players are just some of the most talented in the league. They're not going to give away 1v1 or 2v2 kills every single week. I think that was a little bit of an anomaly last week against Divine. You know, things went poorly in that early game. But now we're seeing kind of the true power that people have seen throughout solo queue and, of course, in practice and the like. And they're really looking good. Emmet is again on the flank.
Kings are furious. He flashes on in. One target of mine. It is Style. They want to delete this AD carrier, and delete they will, but they now want a double kill. Glacial Fissure did absolutely nothing to prevent the inevitable. 4 boys in mid lane. They say, how are you?
Yeah, and the Conqueror is starting to look really good on this Sylas pickup. I mean, I said that I wasn't a huge fan of it. Had got some recent buffs, and you can see that Emmet is certainly no stranger to it. Sylas was such a big pickup for mid laners in the past. You would expect anyone to be able to play him. And now he's back in meta. Looks like the mid laner of Legacy having a very nice run of it.
Well, that's the reason Babip didn't pop the Herald before. They're going to find a lot of value in mid lane right now, which times out coincidentally with the Drake respawning. It's a Cloud Drake at that, so you'd expect with the lanes all shoved in that regard, they should just rotate through smoothly.
And he win the 1v1.
Lane. M&S is punching on right there. You can see he jumped on through with that Proto Bell. He's just pumping out damage. Both level 9, no summoners to their name. Will he need it? That is the question right now. No, he won't. The chains go down, and so does Kweku.
Yeah, and I mean, Kweku decided to run away for a lot of that fight, not fight back, despite the fact that he knew he had ultimate advantage over M&S, but just not confident he can win it. And you can see that M&S with the 10 stacks on the Dark Seal is just honestly enormous. And he's just going to be able to fight here again.
Well, that's the Cataclysm to start things off with, as the Ash ult does not connect. A nice idea there by Style. 3 members trying to take this guy down, but he is just so damn strong. And I tell you who else is. It's Tapoon who comes into the fight. The teleports there. Golden onto Nausicaa, looking to try and take out the Ash as well, which also goes golden. There's a lot of gold in this map, but can we find some silver? Legacy's Tapoon just goes massive as he slams the ground, gets a double. 3 members full. Top lane is deleted.
And Tapoon is a monster. How well he plays this Aatrox, right? He's just, and that's going to be a little bit of a cleanup duty
Let's just
for
get an ace.
Babip as well. And Tapoon has just been able, I mean, he won a 1v2 when he was 2 kills down. 1v1 when he was 2 kills down. He's then turned that play in the top lane, picked himself up a very nice double kill. That's why Denny in Champion Select, he was trying to troll and say, give me some different picks, as that was just Liv taking down Raze, and then I think Babip killing Liv. We didn't get to see it. Something happened somewhere.
Something happened somewhere. I saw a lot of damage, and I saw a lot of Legacy numbers popping up on my screen. You don't even need to contest the Drake at this stage. Look, you're just pumping out damage. 14 kills to 4. They're taking casualties, they're taking bodies, and structures are falling.
Yeah, and I mean, Legacy just looking like they're not all that worried about what Mammoth wants to do, right? Lived, he gets a kill on Raze, burns both of his summoner spells, but Babip's there. Now with the map reset, no one on the map. Babip is still like, you know what, I can solo this dragon. You know, I've got complete run over Summoner's Rift. It's not in their base and it belongs to us. And I think that Mammoth kind of taken aback by the rate at which this game has accelerated.
Really has. There's no vision on this one to try and deny that. We're just going to see off-screen M&S just go for a solo kill onto Renekton. He does not care. Wherever he roams, he gets kills.
And we've decided that some of these kills are just not allowed to be shown on TV at this stage.
He's not finished there, though. He wants more. He may go for the 1v2 on the tower, but I realize he has a bit of discipline. This man has some restraint when it comes to playing the game.
I don't think he does. I just think he didn't have enough dashes to close the distance. If he had anything else to get him in, it looked like he would have taken a hook on there.
He could have been pretty keen as Legacy just push every single lane. Bot lane is destroyed. Mid lane is going towards inners. Liv just coming through for a rotation. They're trying to find a team fight, but this composition isn't finding the brace it needs.
And this could be on track for being one of the quickest games ever. This is an ace away from being over in Legacy's favor. That is how far on Summoner's Rift they are able to play right now. Mammoth have no wave clear, by the way, because they've gone a full melee comp apart from Styled, and just no way to be able to fight themselves out of this situation.
They're fully reliant on Style to trump in there, but he's got other concerns in mid lane. Bot lane, as a result, Legacy snip and clip. They get in there, and they are going to destroy that tower. So brutal for Mammoth to try and contest. As you mentioned, being melee, they walk in, they are going to get wiped.
So you have to fight. This is the only way that you're able to get your way back in this game, because you know after this reset, Raze is coming back on the map with a fresh cull. They've just taken off 3 turrets as well. Mid lane, you can see Eminez already got himself a Magi Soul Stealer, probably going to be able to pick himself up either a completed Luden's Echo or at least boots 2 at this rate in the game. And I mean, there it is, completed Luden's Echo. So he's just been sitting on about 1,800 gold at this stage. So if you can't fight right now, next Rift Herald going across, that is guaranteed base broken, probably guaranteed game right now for Legacy. And it is only 16 minutes in.
I was going to say, that's what I don't think we're even going to see the idea of a soul coming out. It's pretty ridiculous at this stage as Nausicaa gets locked in place. The shield goes up. M&S is looking to clap on through. He would have jumped if he needed to. He just used the flash instead. Who seems to care? Let's get the fight started as Defrom comes on out, looking to try and get the kill onto Aatrox, which he does. Some nice shutdown gold there. Going golden, going big time. Boxman, they're trying to find this kill. The cast doesn't land where they need it to do it, but they do find the kills in that regard. Only one member of Legacy falling on down. M&S still wants more.
You got it. And that's a genuine 4v5 because Raze came in for an ult at the very end. Otherwise, that was pretty much the 2 solo laners of Legacy with Isles saying we can take absolutely whatever we want. It's only going to be, I believe it was like Nausicaa or Kweku surviving in that situation. Everyone else had to get out of there, and I mean, Eminez is just too big.
Yeah, the early game just didn't pan out in their favor. You can see they tried to find some aggression, Mammoth. And this is where their composition sort of starts to lack.
So look at where Raze is. Raze is nowhere near this fight. Styles sitting here trying to throw out his volley, trying to safely hit, but you can just see there's no area of safety. After Liv is able to go into that death round and pick up Topoon, the rest of the fight is just so far on Legacy's favor. I mean, Eminez steals the ultimate afterwards and is able to pick up an exit kill, 25 stacks on that Magi. Probably got himself another 1,800 gold-ish. And going to go back, pick himself up Sork Boots, and I mean, as I keep saying, this game is just so hard right now for Mammoth to be able to dig themselves out of.
Another Rift Herald in their possession. Babbitt is the one with that. He's going top lane so far, so looking for that 1-3-1 split, looking just to put as much pressure on this map as possible. Really break down this composition, because what is Mammoth's best chance of getting back into this one? A Hail Mary 5v5, looking to get into your face and try and hope that with the melee prowess they can find at least one.
Yep, they're hoping for extreme weather. And I know what you're thinking. We play esports. This isn't cricket. Weather's not going to be able to impact anything. That's how extreme the weather they need. They need, like, the building to be evacuated kind of weather.
They do. It's raining and pouring outside, but it's not going to affect them.
I think 12,000 gold is actually a game. So, yeah. I don't even know if the weather helps them.
Every lane is pushing in right now. Every turret is falling on through. Every skirmish is being fought on this map right now. It's a death from 1v1 takes place. Eminez says, why did you do that? I'm 10-1 now, thank you very much. Inhibitor is open. Top lane inhibitor is falling. Jake, what is happening?
I mean, they're going to go for a fight, and that might be bad falling down.
It is indeed. Shotgun goal, very, very nice in their favor, but Raze says no to that. He wants to fight. He wants to party. He finds a double. He takes the inhibitor. And we may now be looking at Nexus Towers falling on down for a very quick game.
And I kind of forgot Raze was in the game, because so much of this has just been dictated by the solo lanes of Legacy. But you have to remember, they have one of the best team fighting AD carries. Hook is on. Isles.
Legendary is the performance that we're seeing right now. We're going to see every single inhibitor fall on down. Methodical in their approach to this one. Legacy angered by their week 1 performance. Despite the 2-0, they have set themselves some standards, and they are displaying it on full show today.
And Eminez again, going to try and fight his way out of this one. Going to be a nice ulti coming across. Eminez picks up another kill. Topoon going to be able to grab that as well. Nausicaa has to flash away. Raze still wants to be able to get in. That's going to be the route coming across from Gravitam. Double kill picked up for Topoon. And that should be game.
It just shows you how far ahead they are. The fact that Eminez can just stand out there 1v3 with little to no resources and say, do you want to fight one more?
I mean, it honestly shows just how much swagger this Legacy lineup has. You kind of knew that from the interviews, right?
Yeah.
That they were very confident in their team play. Well, it's all come together today, and that equals a 15,000 gold lead, and maybe another fight.
Out comes the Rift Herald. Are we going to look for one that starts dancing around on this map? Because they just find bodies, and the bodies hit the floor. They're going to go towards the core. We're going to start dancing. They're going to start dancing. The core is going down. The guys are falling in. The game is said and done. It's party time for Legacy.
And I mean, why would you not be happy right now if you're Legacy? You've come in, you've absolutely smashed the Mammoth lineup. That was a 21-minute victory with every single structure on the map going your favor. Every neutral objective on the map going your favor. There was one team fight. That was a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-2 at the start of the game. And then Legacy absolutely ran over Summoner's Rift.
It seemed like a condition for Mammoth to try and get into this one was so early game orientated, and when they weren't able to find those initial picks to try and get the balls rolling in their solo laner's favor, it seemed to all go downhill from there. Bottom lane constantly pushed in against them. They just were unable to find the picks necessary to get themselves into this one. And if you give that kind of lead to a team like Legacy, well, they put on a performance like this. They ran away with double digits.
Yeah, and I mean, this just shows how strong individually they were, because there weren't many brilliant team play aspects of this game. It was like Topoon picking up a solo kill against a 2-kill Renekton at that stage of the game. Then it was Eminez like flashing into 3 people and picking up miraculous kills on the Silas. I think he finished with 25 stacks on the Magi's as well. And it was just a lot of isolated 1v1s and 2v2s that they were able to pick up and winning, you know, purely outskilling their opponents.
The timing was impeccable. There is Mammoth on your screen right now. The big boys that put up a solid performance, but were no match for the likes of Legacy as the handshakes go out. And speaking of, the boys are back on the desk as I throw it back to Nick.
Rusty,
Hey,
Legacy are not going to need dinner tonight because they just feasted on Mammoth.
it was a 21-minute game as well, Nick. It was a little bit too fast.
You called it. You called it at 17 minutes or something. You said, "Oh, look, you know, we might be looking at 21 minutes," and almost on the dot, boom.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there was a lot of precursors to that. Like, why is it a 21-minute game in the first place? There was a moment where you're like, "Oh, Mammoth have done this cool thing." It was a trade that they went up for, and then, like, 30 seconds later, you see that realization that it's like, hang on, these are a bunch of rookie players that, like, the double kill's been fine for them. How you doing, Isles? And it's kind of like they didn't think about the next steps because they are just rookie players, right? Instantly gets solo killed, instantly loses Herald on the opposite side of the map, and suddenly this good thing just gone.
Well, we've got another basically rookie with us, Isles. Do you feel bad about what you just did?
I mean, it's my first time playing. It's their first time playing. It's even playing field. I don't really feel bad about it.
I mean, it's a lovely way to start your year. Congratulations. How was that game for you?
I mean, I feel like I could have played a bit better, but I'm happy with my team's result. That is true. Yeah, I didn't have to.
And how are you finding Legacy?
Great so far. I think my teammates have been really accommodating, and the staff have been really nice to me, and I think our development as a team has already been pretty smooth as of so far, at least.
Yeah.
And I think the players we have a really high skill cap. We have some really talented players, and I think we can really go far.
I heard in the first week as well, after the wins, some of them obviously weren't the cleanest of wins, but it was yourself and Raze that were the hardest on yourselves, was what I heard from Denian. How is it working with Raze, and how did you guys bounce back between the days?
Well, I think playing with Raze he's a very charismatic player. He's got a lot of experience behind him. He's a bit of a lone wolf type player. So sometimes, you know, it's hard to get him to warm up to you, but he's a very knowledgeable player, and I think that when I ask him the questions, when you strive to know more, then he really can teach you, and I think he's really been able to nurture me, and as a 2v2 bot, we have developed a lot, especially since the first week.
I don't know if you know, but, well, you don't know this right now, but chat love you. I don't know if you realize that the OPL community seem to love you. They are actually, like, some of these people are literally in love with you. So maybe just say hi to the fans, because we also know that Twitch chat has never been sarcastic, so I'm taking all of this at face value. Say hi to your fans.
Hi, everyone. How's it?
There you go. That's exactly what I asked him to do, and he did it. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking for Quaker to try and find some value of his own. What can he do in this exchange right now? Norska going to be the first blood, but can we get a turnaround from Mammoth? Yes, we can. It's going to be 2 for 1 so far. 2 for 2 as Quaker goes absolutely huge with a double kill. Things are furious. He flashes on in. One target of mine. It is Style. They want to delete this AD carrier, and delete they will, but they now want a double kill. Glacial Fissure did absolutely nothing to prevent the inevitable. 4 boys in mid lane. It's Tapoon who comes into the fight. The teleport's there. Golden onto Nausicaa, looking to try and take out the Ash as well, which also goes golden. There's a lot of gold in this map, but can we find some silver? Legacy's Tapoon just goes massive as he slams the ground, gets a double. Let's get the fight started as Defram comes on out, looking to try and get the kill onto Aatrox, which he does. Some nice shutdown gold there, going golden, going big time. Boxman trying to find this kill. The cast doesn't land where they need it to do it, but they do find the kills in that regard. It is indeed shutdown gold, very, very nice in their favor, but Raze says no to that. He wants to fight, he wants to party, he finds a double, and the bodies hit the floor. They're going to go towards the floor. We're going to start dancing, they're going to start dancing, the core is going down, the guys are falling in, the game is said and done. It's party time for Legacy.
Imagine if you took Coca-Cola No Sugar and full-on froze it. Well, now you don't have to. Head down to Macca's and try the new frozen Coke No Sugar for just $1. Exclusive to Macca's.